The HOA Karen calls cops on fake officer, but he was the police chief. I served 42 years on the force. I started as a beat cop in the 70s when they didn't want men who looked like me wearing the badge, and I retired as the chief of detectives for the entire metropolitan precinct. I have seen everything. I have been shot at, stabbed, and spit on. I have put away serial killers and corrupt politicians. I earned my pension in blood and sweat. Now, I just want to wash my car. My name is Otis King, and I live in Oak Hollow, a neighborhood I chose for its silence. My pride and joy is parked in my driveway, a 1996 Chevrolet Impala SS. To the uneducated eye, it looks like an old Caprice, maybe a taxi or a beat-up cop car. To a car enthusiast, it's a legend. It has a Corvette LT1 engine, a limited-slip differential, and it's painted a deep, menacing black cherry. It is in showroom condition. I keep it covered, but on Sundays, I take the cover off to wash and wax it. That's when I met Heather. Heather was the newly elected HOA president, a woman in her early 30s who had never heard the word no in her life. She drove a leased white BMW and looked at the world through a filter of suspicion and entitlement. She walked by my house while I was polishing the chrome rims. She stopped. She frowned. She walked up my driveway, her heels clicking on the concrete. "Excuse me," she said, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness that didn't mask the disdain. "Are you the detailer?" I stood up slowly. My knees aren't what they used to be, but I'm still 6'2". "No, ma'am. I'm the owner." She blinked, looking at my work clothes, an old gray t-shirt and stained cargo shorts. She looked at the house, a sprawling brick ranch. Then she looked back at the car. "You live here?" she asked, the skepticism heavy in her tone. "I do," I said. "For 20 years. "Well," she huffed, pivoting immediately to offense. "We have rules in Oak Hollow. One of them concerns unsightly vehicles. This thing is clearly over 10 years old. It looks like a junker. It brings down the property value. You need to keep it in the garage. Or better yet, get rid of it. We prefer newer models here." I laughed. A deep, belly laugh. "Ma'am, this car is worth more than your BMW. It's a classic. And my driveway is my property. It's an eyesore." She snapped, her face flushing pink. "And you, loitering out here with your loud music." I was listening to Al Green at a volume you couldn't hear 5 feet away. "It makes people uncomfortable. We have families here. We don't want elements." Attracting the wrong crowd. "Elements," I repeated. I knew what she meant. She saw an old black man with an old car, and she saw a threat. She saw a blight. "Heather, right? Go home. Read the bylaws. There is no age limit on vehicles, only that they must be operable and registered. This is both. Now get off my driveway." She stormed off, muttering about fines. The fines came. $100 for nuisance. Vehicle, $200 for unauthorized car. Maintenance, $500. For aggressive behavior. I framed them and hung them in my garage next to my commendations for bravery. I didn't pay a dime. I am not legally part of her HOA. My deed has a grandfather clause from 1985, but she didn't bother to check the records. She just wanted to win. She wanted to break the old man. The escalation happened on a Tuesday. I was in the garage, cleaning my old service weapon. It's a Smith & Wesson Model 19 revolver, a beautiful piece of steel. I had the garage door open for the light. I was sitting at my workbench, the gun disassembled on a cleaning mat, my gold retirement badge sitting next to it. A tow truck pulled up. A big flatbed. The driver hopped out and started hooking chains to the rear axle of my Impala, which was parked in the driveway. I stood up, grabbing my cane. I use it when my hip acts up. I walked out. "Hey," I shouted. "Drop that car." The driver looked up. "Orders from the HOA, buddy. Abandoned vehicle. Seizure for non-payment of fines." "It's not abandoned, it's waxed." I warned. "Unhook it now." Then Heather appeared from behind the truck. She was smiling. "It's too late, Otis," she gloated. "We have a lien. We're taking the trash out." Then she looked into the open garage. She saw the gun parts. She saw the badge. Her eyes went wide. She pulled out her phone and screamed. "He has a gun. He's armed. And he has a fake badge. He's a criminal. He's impersonating a police officer. Help. 911. She ran to the street, screaming into her phone. "There's a black man with a gun. He's threatening to kill me. He has a stolen police badge. Send everyone." The tow truck driver froze. He looked at me. He looked at the badge on the table. He looked at Heather. "Lady, you said this place was vacant," the driver said. "I ain't getting shot for a repo." He dropped the chains and jumped back in his truck. "Don't you leave," Heather shrieked. "He's a felon. Look at him. He stole that badge. It's stolen valor." I just stood there. I didn't reach for the gun. I crossed my arms and waited. I knew who was coming. In this town, when you call in an officer in distress or an armed suspect involving a badge, they don't send a patrol car. They send the house. Sirens wailed from every direction. Within 3 minutes, four cruisers and a SWAT van screeched into the cul-de-sac. Officers poured out, weapons drawn, taking cover behind their doors. Heather ran toward them, waving her arms. "He's in there. He's got a gun. He's pretending to be a cop. He tried to shoot me." The lead officer moved forward. It was Sergeant Miller. I hired Miller 20 years ago. I taught him how to shoot. I sat at his bedside when he got shot in the line of duty. Miller looked at Heather. He looked at me, standing calmly in the driveway with my arms crossed. He looked at the Impala. He lowered his weapon. "Hold fire," Miller shouted to the rookies. He walked past Heather, ignoring her screaming. He walked right up to me. He stood at attention. He saluted. "Afternoon, Chief," Miller said. "Afternoon, Miller," I said. "This woman is trespassing, and she attempted to steal my vehicle." Heather stopped screaming. She looked at Miller. She looked at me. "Chief," she whispered. He's lying. He's a fake. Look at the car. Look at him." "Ma'am," Miller said, turning slowly to face her. His voice was cold enough to freeze water. "This is Chief Otis King. He ran this department for 15 years. That badge on the table isn't stolen. It was awarded to him by the mayor for 40 years of service. And that gun, that's the service weapon he used to save 3 hostages in 1989. But, Heather stammered, her face draining of color. He lives here? But the car? It's old. It's an Impala SS, ma'am," Miller said, looking at the car with admiration. "And it's pristine. Now, you called 911 and reported an armed gunman threatening you. I see a retired chief cleaning his weapon on his own property. And I see a woman who tried to tow a car she doesn't own. I made a mistake," she squeaked. You thought you could bully an old man," I said. "You saw a black man with a nice car and a badge, and you decided I had to be a criminal. That's filing a false police report. That's swatting. That's attempted grand larceny of a vehicle." Miller pulled out his cuffs. "Heather Thompson, you are under arrest." "You can't arrest me," she wailed as he spun her around. "I'm the HOA president. I was protecting the neighborhood." "You're a criminal," Miller said. "And you just annoyed the chief." "Nobody annoys the chief." They took her away in the back of the cruiser. The tow truck driver apologized profusely and drove off so fast he left tire marks. The neighbors, who had been watching from their windows, came out. They shook my hand. They asked about the car. It turns out, everyone hated Heather. She was charged with a felony for the false 911 call that deployed SWAT. She lost her job. She lost her position on the board. She had to sell her house to pay the legal fees. I'm still here. I still wash my Impala on Sundays. And whenever a patrol car drives by, they tap the siren, just a quick whoop-whoop, to say hello to the chief. Heather thought she was calling the cops on a criminal, but she ended up calling them on a legend. I have a question for you guys. Do you think Heather deserves jail time for calling in a fake officer-down distress call, or was losing her reputation enough punishment? Let me know in the comments below. If you loved seeing the whole police force turn their backs on this Karen, smash that like button and subscribe.